Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, with the local gangs and cults dispatched, we spent some downtime at the local dive, the Adeptus Amesicus. Though first, we have yet another level up in the queue, so let's jam through that. And once again, pretty straightforward. We're still just setting up basics for our new advanced archetypes. For Valin, for example, we're grabbing Professional Acumen. That reduces the cost of his first assassin ability each round. Then for Abelard, we are very slowly easing him into his counterattack build with Punish the Impudent. I'm a little curious to see how that interacts with Cassia's forced moves. Like, would it provoke twice, once coming and once going? After that, we've got Pask, and I'll go ahead and say now, I am having some second thoughts on the whole plasma build. Apparently, the recent changes to plasma weapons have made them somewhat questionable. So for now, I'm keeping my options open. We may go Melta instead, or just fully focus on Power Axe. So we'll grab Pinnacle of Weaponry. That one covers all three categories, so buys us a little more time before I have to commit. Next, we've got Argenta, and we're not quite ready to go full heavy weapons just yet, since we don't have a heavy weapon just yet. So instead, I'm just going to keep having fun and grab Martial Art, which adds a prone/stun component to her kick maneuver. But yeah, we'll grab Heavy Gunner next level up. Start prepping her for the inevitable. After that, we've got Adira, who of course will stay focused on her psychic powers. And I figure we'll just go Psychic Barrage. That's a modest but still notable damage boost. Though I really do need to give her Subtle Manipulation at some point for those rare occasions when she gets locked down. And then for Cassie, I kind of flip-flopped on this one a bit, but I think ultimately we're going with Ebb and Flow. That one's been on my list for a while now. Nothing super game-changing this time around, just a lot of nice, solid bonuses. That said, let's go call some shots. Though I'll do a quick cursory sweep out front real quick, just to make sure we're not missing anything.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Before you is a compartment of a massive void ship, adapted into a living space. From inside the building, the clinking of glasses and numerous voices can be heard. Yeah, like, I'm vaguely familiar with a lot of this stuff from Alpha. But, you know, they have thrown some new stuff at us too, so I'm just trying to keep my eyes open.
Nice little spot. It's good to see folks enjoying themselves. Even the air in here feels nicer to breathe.
An entire establishment dedicated to unproductive and parasitical pursuits. A waste of station space.
I mean, technically it's not part of the station. Under the floor, concealed by the gloom, is an elaborate jumble of pipes, chains, and cables. If I recall the backstory for this place, it's something along the lines of it being like an Imperial scribe ship or something that essentially came here, was abandoned, and then got permanently wired into the station. So yeah, it's essentially one giant Chekhov's gun. You know, last rounds just waiting to fire. No doubt during some late-game disaster, when we inevitably have to evacuate the station.
Rough day?
You have no idea.
I just might. That's the second bottle you've downed.
Jai Hidari. Falco sends his regards.
And what does that unholy scion of a Grox and a Brahan want from me this time? Oh, wait, I don't really care. My sole plans for tonight are drowning my grief in a sea of Amasak.
We'll give you grief, all right. Get out!
Don't think so, Ashmag. And tell Falco to come himself next time.
Hidari, I am tired of your mess. Out! Get some sleep. We'll talk about settling up later.
Okti Shireen, light of my eyes. Can't you see my soul is full of sadness? Have you no heart at all? Let go of your material concerns and let me grieve in peace. Have we met somewhere before?
The woman looks at you with the glassy eyes of a drunk, and you notice the 2 empty bottles that had been keeping her company before you arrived. She looks completely out of place in this dingy, smoky bar. The fancy attire, the abundance of jewelry, the implants plated with precious metal. Her appearance not only screams wealth, but also audacity, for only an audacious person would flaunt their wealth in a place like this.
Greetings, Shireen. With whom do I have the honor of speaking?
She smiles somewhat groggily as she examines you over the glass that is raised to her lips. Valen, we met in passing.
Von Phalancius. My deepest, humblest regards, your lordship. I never would have imagined I'd be standing at the bar, in the Amasekus, next to an honest-to-God Emperor Rogue trader.
The woman, after taking a sip from her glass, chokes and quickly clears her throat.
Jai Hidari at your service. Professional trader, shrewd commercial broker, and, may he steal my tongue if I'm lying, the most honest dealer on footfall. Nonetheless, we all have our problems, and at times even one's many merits aren't enough to solve them. Perhaps it would be no trouble for a person with your kind of power and standing to assist someone with my kind of predicament.
Wow, that's a lot of words to basically tell me nothing about what you actually need. You want to give me some actual details?
You see, Shireen, there's one cardinal rule on footfall. Anything goes as long as it doesn't get in the way of business. I'm someone who's been able to exploit that rule to the fullest. And in recent years, I've hit it so big, I've become a speck of sand in someone's green eye. They used to throw small wrenches into my dealings here and there. Well, now they've decided to really put their backs into it. Some rats stolen my cargo and dragged it off to the seediest part of the Shadow Quarters. A crummy place even for connoisseurs of footfall's unique atmosphere. When I asked the Leech for protection, we had a mutual misunderstanding. I believe Vladimir, in a most lamentable fashion, has forgotten his duties as guardian of the downtrodden and wronged. So I'm in desperate need of a new one. And you, Shireen, fit the bill perfectly. All I need is for you to drop by one dark corner of Footfall's Shadow Quarters and pound it into the thieves' heads that taking Hidari's property carries certain risks.
Jay appears to be a serious operator on Footfall. The Liege's refusal to help means the loss of a potential ally. So Jay is encroaching on his turf. If Ladame is not responsible for the disappearance of Jay's cargo, he will certainly benefit greatly from it. Well, Miss Hidari, I'm not saying no, but Ladame has shown that he can be useful. Not so sure about you. You mind if I ask a few more questions?
Ask as many as you wish, Shireen. Trust is the key to a successful endeavor.
Couldn't agree more. So tell me more about this cargo that you lost. What kind of goods are we talking about here?
Goods of incredible rarity, Shireen. But it's not just that. 24 of my people lost their lives in the impenetrable emptiness of the void to acquire them. I cannot leave their families with nothing.
Ordinary smugglers do not dress so ostentatiously, or behave so brazenly, and they are unlikely to spoil the mood of the Liege of Footfall with their mere appearance. This woman lost many people to obtain these rarest of goods, and to get them back she turned to Vladain Tokara, the patron of all cold trade in the Expanse. Her cargo could be nothing other than Xeno artifacts, creations of the enemies of humanity, branded with heresy. Again, Miss Haydari, that's a lot of words without actually answering the very simple question I asked. Just to clarify, we are talking about Xenos artifacts, correct?
I thought we were on the same page from the start, Shireen. Please accept my sincerest apologies if that is not the case, and allow me to explain myself. If I had told you directly, you would have become, shall we say, complicit. But since those illicit words did not escape my lips, you would hypothetically be agreeing merely to help me recapture a few containers. And if the Aji suddenly decided to thwart our plans, then all the Void Dogs would be unleashed on me alone. My sincerest wish was to protect you from any unnecessary trouble, Shireen. I swear, by the Exalted One.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. But I assure you I can take care of myself. Besides, it's not illegal if I do it. Let's talk terms.
A fair deal, Shireen. If your heart desires, we'll split the recovered cargo 50-50. That will be fair. But if goods of incredible rarity do not interest you, then I'll make it worth your while with some bonds equal in value to a couple of full holds.
Bridled excitement simmers in Jay's eyes.
Of course I am aware that my personal means cannot compare to yours, Shireen. So I do not hope to impress you with money. But I can offer something else. My boundless knowledge. Surely you will appreciate the services of an expert on trading operations. Where I'm from, they call this kind of deal wisdom selling.
Huh. I'm starting to like her.
Not so sure about your wisdom, but I do like taking half your cargo. You've got a deal.
May the Exalted One bless you and your progeny. Then here's what we'll do. We shouldn't be seen together before we make it to the safe house. I'll head there first. I'll take my own special route so I won't be spotted.
Jay instantly pulls out a data slate and shows you a map of Footfall.
Right. Here, that's where those ashmags are keeping the stolen cargo. Out the bar, over the bridge, and to the left. There, in the depths, you'll find a small courtyard, through which you can get to the place. I'll be waiting nearby. You can come when it suits you, but the sooner you do, the better. I'll see you then, Shireen.
Yeah, see you soon. I'm sure that'll end well. Alright, let's chat up a few more folks around the bar, get some more stuff set up.
I always keep my options open.
The burly woman with a wealth of fiery hair is in the process of tinkering with some unknown device that is clinking melodiously. She has a rough-looking implant in place of her lower jaw. As you approach, the implant begins to move, as if independently of the rest of her face. Welcome to the Adeptus Domesticus, sir. What can Octaviana get you? Amasec? Low? Something more interesting? Octaviana freezes in place. It can't be. Are you Sister Argenta? The Sister Argenta? The one who has the worst scum in Footfall, shaking in their boots? The whole station's talking about you. And here you are, in the flesh, in our humble Amesicus. Argenta stops Octaviana's torrent of adoration with a calm gesture. No more. I seek retribution against transgressors, not glory for myself. Despite her words, you catch a glint in Argenta's eyes. You can tell she's enjoying this enraptured attention. Right, so, interesting place you got here. I like the decor, very industrial chic. What do you do here? You're in the oldest watering hole on Footfall, sir. The Adeptus Domesticus is the only Adeptus one can find on Footfall. She laughs hoarsely. I'm Octaviana. I serve drinks, lend an ear, and if it comes down to it, quiet the rowdy ones. She sizes you up carefully. Folks usually come to the Amesicus for either pleasure or business. Might I ask what's brought you here? Business. There's always time for business, even when you're doing something for pleasure. Sure, and where better to do business than Footfall, am I right? Business is the only thing keeping this melting pot going. If this wasn't the best place to make deals, Footfall would have been stripped clean long before now. One asteroid at a time. Octaviana leans forward. Sitting at this bar often puts folks in a talkative mood, and I don't see anybody paying me to keep quiet. Visits from eminent individuals like yourself boost the status of my establishment, so I can repay you by sharing what I've overheard. Some of it might help you out in your dealings. Is that so? Well, let's put that to the test. What can you tell me about Miss Haydari, the woman I was just talking with? Why are you so interested? You looking into her or something? Octaviana catches herself upon meeting your gaze and bows her head low. Apologies, sir. Me and my big mouth. I guess this is why they broke my jaw so many times. She touches her implant. I mean, you're not wrong. Octaviana drops her voice. Jay, you know. Jay's pretty great. She's made a name for herself here on Footfall. She's a woman who came from nothing. She follows the unwritten rules of this place. She doesn't walk all over the weaker folks, and she drinks like a fish to boot. There's a lot to respect. The sad thing is, it looks like she's got on the wrong side of Ladame. And since both of them, well, I guess all three of us, have ties to the Caspalica, there's no way out of this. Jay should get off Footfall while she still can. Better to lose her business than her life. Good to know. Thanks. So what's with the name of this place, anyway? Seems a bit unusual for a bar. Octaviana chuckles. What makes you say that? Do you know where you're standing? On the deck of the Martyr's Endurance, a sacred vessel that once belonged to the Adeptus Administratum. 100 years ago, the bureaucrats sent a mission here to establish a department, set up some kind of record-keeping, overhaul Footfall, and make everyone here follow 1 billion laws to the letter. As you can see, it was the Martyr's Endurance and its inhabitants that got overhauled in the end. I don't know what happened to them, but the locals like to come here to make deals and count their money like before, in this temple of the Imperium's accountants. Over there, you can even see the sign's been preserved. Partially. Let nothing go to waste. Yeah, okay. I can appreciate that. I guess the name makes sense. You like it? I'm flattered. It's not often that we get important visitors here, and it's even less often that they really appreciate this place. Yeah, I'll bet. So how are things here on Footfall, anyway? Haven't been to our fine station for a while, have you, sir? As per usual, there's never a dull moment. Either someone's getting shot in a square, or some rich guy's going on a safari to hunt commoners in the Shadow Quarters. Sure, the Leech makes sure that the local shenanigans don't get in the way of business on the station. But what happens on the outskirts adds a little spice to our lives. We make do. But the real trouble is, with every passing day it gets harder to find grub. I heard that some horrors are happening in the void outside Furibundus. That not all ships are making it here, and the Liege's old patrons don't seem to be in a hurry to help. It's taken a toll on Vladame's authority, and if his authority wobbles too hard, he'll have plenty of people lining up to take his place. So I've noticed. Anything else? Well, this one might interest you. A tale I heard from a tipsy voidborn from a cargo barge. They exited the warp halfway between Furibundus and the Avioris system and came upon a shuttle wreck adrift. The shuttle was registered to the Inevitability of Triumph, a merchant ship that disappeared decades ago. She was bound for Footfall. Her cargo holds brimming with valuable goods. But she never made it. If anything at all survived the shipwreck, it could be quite a lucky find. Oh, and here's another tidbit for you. Some poor sot was here bawling about how his crew tossed out a whole shipment of cargo along with the trash, and it was his fault somehow. He hid the fact, and once they docked at Footfall, he immediately went on the run. No surprise there. Had they discovered his blunder, he would have been executed. I don't know what sort of cargo it was, but the ship he served on usually goes between Footfall and Winterscale's realm. She passes the 100 Dreams Crossroads and Langren's Belt. If you happen by that area, you might want to look for whatever that idiot chucked overboard. That'll do for now. Yeah, that's plenty. 2 more quests for the pile. All right, Octaviana. It's been a pleasure. Octaviana bows her head slightly. Until next time, sir. Yeah, I figured we'd just avoid the drink. Sadly, our particular torturous backstory doesn't leave us particularly adept at stomaching harsh substances. I mean, I know Abby could make the check for us, but still. We're a carefully balanced precision instrument. No need to go gumming up the works. We could go after Jay, but I think we'll actually save that for next time. For now, let's finish poking around the bar. The decanter used to contain a cheap amasec, which, for the sake of attractiveness, has obviously been enriched with a deodorizing agent. Oh, good. Leftovers of pitiful foodstuff are stuck to the sides of the plates. Gordy, it's been a while. It's just rotten, having no one to talk to. Well, I'll talk to you, bud. The flabby man in worn clothes is sighing sadly over a glass of murky booze. Only when he looks up at you do you notice his eyes, large, piercing, and full of sorrow. A stark contrast to his unkempt appearance. Could it be that someone actually wishes to keep me company? He takes a closer look at you. Not just someone, it's Lord von Valancius himself. Yours is an ancient and glorious line, your lordship. A number of magnificent structures built on your ancestors' orders, both for defensive and decorative purposes, remain in the Scaris sector. They keep your dynasty's memory alive, despite the fact that it has long since focused its endeavors in a different sector. Abelard stares at you with surprise and respect. I'll be. Even I was unaware of such details, and I have spent quite some time studying the chronicles of your noble bloodline. Allow me to introduce myself. Gordy Skatov, architectural historian. Pleasure's all mine, Gordy. Sorry to interrupt your drinking, it's just, you're an architect. I assume this is all building to something? Gordy sighs heavily. Here I go again, pouring my heart out to have you disappear in 10 minutes, just like everyone else before you. But all right, here is the story of Gordy Skatov, the unluckiest historian in the Imperium. I was born 2 sectors away from here. My family was quite influential, which allowed me to dedicate myself to my great passion, the history of Imperium architecture. I spent a number of years studying every scholarly work there was to find on this art, and then, once I had inherited my family's fortune, I traveled and documented the development of architectural thought on different worlds, until one day, Oh, that accursed and blessed day. Until one day I came into possession of something quite special. Gordy pulls what looks like a book or an album with a homemade leather cover out of his bag. But the pages and the binding look well worn. Here it is, my undoing. This is an authentic booklet titled Dwayne's Design, one of the thousands that were printed centuries ago, in the times of Footfall's construction.
What a curious read. Please, tell us more.
As Cassia takes a shy step forward, Gordy smiles and shows her some of the faded pages. Footfall's founder, Lord Parsimus, was obsessed with his creation's grand future. This booklet describes in detail what Footfall was meant to become upon its completion. Dozens of asteroids turned into glorious palaces and temples, massive bridges spanning the void itself, and the marvelous flying buttresses, the archivolts of the exterior arches, the elegant arrangements of balusters. And the interior. Proliferous, 10 stories tall and more than a kilometer long. Cyclopean light tubes that catch the light of Furibundus and use it to brighten the halls in the hearts of the asteroids. Stained glass windows and mosaics, bas-reliefs and statues. Engrossed in his own description, Gordy stands up and starts tracing the outlines of arches and galleries with his hands. Adira blinks sleepily, barely suppresses a yawn, and starts looking around with a bored expression. No, I think Valen would find this very interesting. Emerging from his reverie, he catches himself, blushes slightly, and loudly flops back into his seat. I apologize. I got carried away. But you must understand how deep an impression this booklet left on me when my young self picked it up. I simply couldn't think about anything other than Footfall. I was ready to give my life just to see this incredible station. And of course, no matter how hard my friends and loved ones tried to dissuade me, I still gathered all my savings and set out on a journey. It is no easy feat to cross 2 sectors, especially for a common citizen, albeit one who has some resources at his disposal. I had to change one ship after another, at times being forced to stay on transfer worlds, waiting for a vessel headed in the right direction or for warp disturbances to subside. The voyage took me a total of 107 years. In real space-time, of course. For me, it was much less than that, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 or 35. And then, after all those years, having spent all of my savings, I reached my dream. And what did I see? A dump in place of the exquisite portico, metal anthills clinging to the columns, the marble tiles pilfered by paupers to use as cladding for their hovels. Gordy hangs his head. It's been a dozen years since I came here, and I still haven't recovered from the shock. I had suspected that not everything from the booklet would exist in reality, but I never expected to see Footfall in such a sorry state. It is like stumbling upon the horrible, decomposing corpse of your beautiful beloved. Argenta's gaze darkens. The warp, like a shameless thief, is guilty of stealing the short span allotted to his servants. But what sense is there in spending half your life on such an enterprise, only to then lose your spirit, and waste the remaining half on nothing at all? Oh yeah, I guess there are some pretty hefty parallels between her situation and Gordy's. Interesting. So then ink and paper, too, can lie and cause pain. Cassia sighs sadly. Does this mean that all I have ever read about will one day disappoint me with the ugliness of reality? I mean, I don't know if I'd quite put it like that, but yes, you do. You do need to be careful about what you believe. Well, chin up, Gordy. Even the deepest, darkest failure still hides a glimmer of opportunity. You came all this way. Surely there's something here that's still worth studying. Gordy strokes his goatee in thought. Yes, Footfall's current appearance. Slums fused together with the remains of majestic palaces is a unique phenomenon. It would be curious to observe if other places have taken after it, thereby solidifying it as a new style of architecture, or if it still remains a local oddity. My word, you certainly know how to provide an unexpected perspective on things. Be that as it may, I just wanted to say, thank you for hearing me out. Over the dozens of years I have spent on Footfall, not one person has hung around long enough to listen to my story to the end. It's such a delight to have shared everything that's been weighing on my mind. I'm poor as a church mouse, but I still have something to offer you as a token of my appreciation. After studying the booklet thoroughly, I discovered something interesting. A ciphered message scattered throughout its pages. Taking the form of a riddle, it described certain places of interest on Footfall. I believe it is the work of the booklet's creators. What if these riddles lead to something? A wondrous discovery. I will gladly share what I've been able to learn with you. Riddles? A flash of burning, almost childish curiosity brightens Cassia's austere countenance. Oh, she is adorable. All right, Gordy, you've got my attention. Though I have to ask, if you already have the riddles, why haven't you sought out these prizes for yourself? I have, of course. But I'm an old man who's blind in one eye and can barely move his legs. I never found anything. But that doesn't mean there's nothing to find. Fair enough. Well, clue us in. We'll see what we can parse out. The first location from the riddles isn't far from here. It's a bridge that was supposed to go through the center of this district and into the void toward the neighboring asteroid. Only a couple of its spans were built, and even those lie in ruins. Still, if the cache survived after all those years, it is there somewhere. The second location is the Lantern of the Great Cathedral. A lantern is a small tower on top of a dome. You've seen Footfall's atrium, haven't you? The whole atrium is just the nave of the former Little Cathedral. The Liege's entire so-called palace would have fit inside what was meant to be naught but a single room. The Great Cathedral, had it been built, would have been even bigger. But alas, its construction was just getting underway when Dwayne died, and the work stopped. The lantern from its dome, however, had already been built and survived. It was brought inside the atrium and dubbed the Chapel of St. Drusus the Warrior. And that's all I know. I wish you luck in your search. Thanks, Gordy. We'll look into it. I'll let you know what we find. And yet another quest for the pile. That's 4 today, I think.
Let us not dawdle.
Yeah, we've got Jay's thing. We've got 2 leads we picked up from Octaviana, plus Gordy's thing now. Not too shabby.
Just as I planned.
The menu system of the Adeptus Domesticus looks eerily similar to the design of the internal scan of the fuel compartment. Someone has inserted new data into the void ship's cogitator, left over from ancient times.
Is there money to be made?
Stuck to the plates are lumps of sawdust, toxic waste that is sometimes passed off as ordinary nutritious starch. Yeah, that's called cellulose. Sadly not unique to the Warhammer 40k universe. Though to be fair, I suppose there are some differences between quote-unquote food-grade sawdust and just your average dustpan of woodshop sweepings. Also, I am definitely noticing a sudden nosedive in our skill check percentiles. I'll have to double-check our difficulty settings. I could have sworn it said there was no modifier for unfair. Though it is certainly possible that we were getting a positive modifier before on the lower difficulty setting, as weird as that might seem. Anyway, I feel like this is a good place to call it. Bit of a setup episode today, but, you know, that's just the nature of Rogue Trader, I think. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time, as we immediately start tugging on some of these new plot threads. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, V23, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Ow! Get some sleep. We'll talk about settling up later.